All right. Well, remember last year when we warned you that we would get to a $1 trillion per year defense budget? We're creeping there. We again had another monumental jump in the proposed military defense budget. This was passed by the House of Representatives over the weekend, but this is a proposal. I think it's important to keep an eye on it because it's showing us where the wind blows and just how much it continues to deflate. Now, remember last year we were scandalized, I tell you, because the budget came in at $847 billion, and that was $45 billion more than the administration even asked for. They just magically said, no, take more, actually. So this new one, again, hasn't passed yet, and the Senate is working on its own version of this bill before some version of it does go to the president's desk to sign. Surely this is not the final version, but let's just look at where the wind is blowing and what Congress, and now this is not, Congress, they're elected representatives. They're supposed to do what they think the American people wants them to do. I don't know who's asking them to do this. I don't know why they think that this is, what they're elected to do, but these are the things they're doing. Before we do that, let's just look at this in global context. This data comes from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, but some nice user on Wikipedia laid it out in this graphic, and I appreciate it. I was able to look over these numbers just to see if this is just like done by a kooky person on Wikipedia, and it seems to check out. Now, almost all of the world's military spending is from the West. Take a look at, since the 1950s, the dark blue is the U.S., the light blue is other NATO, although that is largely funded by the U.S.
Yeah, other NATO just means
so
the
if
US.
You look at 2020, well, I would say 70% of this line on the 2020 axis is the U.S. And then China, which does seem to be expanding, but not at the same rate. We're going to look at that for a second. Russia, we tell you about all the time. We know what their military is capable of, but look at, they're capable of all of this on such a small budget. That's hard to understand. How are they withstanding this war on such a small budget? But we've talked about this before. And then other countries. Now, again, almost all of the world's spending is in the West, and most of it through the United States dollar. China this year approved a 7.2% defense budget. That put it at an increase to $224 billion. So again, we're talking about U.S. at $847 billion. For China, this is a big jump, but still just a quarter of where the United States is. And it's a larger military, too. They have more people employed. And again, Russia, we talk about enough, so we can talk about that another time. So here is the House version that we're dealing with, HR 2670. Sounds like a stormtrooper number. It comes in at 1,236 pages, and I will admit I did not read every word. I could not do that in the time I had, but I'm going to give you a summary of the things that I think are noteworthy, either because they're new, or they may benefit military families, which I'm in favor of, or they may be controversial. So let's start with what's new. Meet Space National Guard. This is in the defense bill.
Space National Guard?
Space National Guard. It's like regular ass National Guard.
They only go to space on the weekends.
I guess so.
That's right, David.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like it. Like regular National Guard.
I'd sign up for that. You only want to go to space on the weekend? Then join the Space National Guard.
I'm very curious, though, about the training level, because
it's part of the Air Force training. So they do Air Force basic training. So the Space Force does Air Force basic training in the same way that you go through Army basic training. So they handle basic training through the Air Force.
But if you're a reservist, are you fully trained to go to space, or they give you just half the training?
Well, none of these
hopefully you don't have to be called up.
I mean, none of these people are going to space, right? I mean, what they're being used for is similar. It's strategic, basically computer-based work. I mean, a lot of it's strategic and computer-based work at the Space Force.
Okay.
They're not exactly going to space.
All right. So again, this is like the National Guard, which is a reservist component of the military. Only this is for space. Yeah.
However, once we get this UFO disclosure, which Congress is actively working on, and the U.S. defense companies actively want them to release this information, because they want to then start ramping up to create spacecraft that are going into the exosphere and going way out there. So you're going to have Raytheon, you're going to have all of these guys who are going to absolutely want soldiers to be a part of this. And the military industrial complex is pushing for this disclosure, by the way. That's why it was just voted on in Congress overwhelmingly. So this budget will even go higher because now the Space Force, they'll need to build, Raytheon will need to build interstellar craft to go after a threat that they invent and make up.
Okay.
Just want to throw that in there.
You have a lot of extrapolation from just a reservist force for the space.
I'm just telling you where things
military.
are going. This is why these guys have been pushing for this. This is why the defense industry is very much in favor of coming out and telling everyone for the truth finally.
Okay, all they're saying is that they're going to have a reservist National Guard. And what I'm saying is is it that easy to be an understudy for space?
I am.
You're not.
I'm probably more qualified to be on the Space Reserve National Guard than any of these clowns.
You're on another planet right now. Okay, let's go to the next thing, which I think is worth looking at, which is research on quantum computing. That is part of defense. Quantum computing as part of defense. Now, this is quite interesting, right? It kind of reminds me of when the military would employ psychic mediums or remote viewers, because to me, I know quantum computing can be many things, but remote access to things that are separate is how I think about this. So quantum computing and tests, and also working with the private sector, they're calling them non-traditional defense contractors. Well, who here, take a look at this next screen, who would be a non-traditional defense contractor for quantum computing? I literally have
Microsoft?
No, Microsoft is already a traditional defense contractor.
I mean, they are literally paid billions of dollars on traditional defense budgets. I mean,
we can talk about Dell, Google, all the normal, tech companies. They are defense contractors. We know that. So let's think of non-traditional defense contractors who could help the U.S. military in quantum computing. I'm not trying to lead you here. I'm literally asking the question.
Anonymous?
Anonymous.
Right?
I don't know. Maybe the Israeli,
not CERN.
The Israeli intelligence services.
Apple going to get in the game?
No, David, non-traditional. We have to think of non-traditional. I'm thinking I'm out here, right? Okay, but again,
that kid that tracks Elon Musk's jet, maybe he's going to get in on it.
You guys,
he's pretty good.
Right.
We have to think of quantum as the idea of time and space exists in a box like a rhythm, right? That's what quantum physics tells us. And we experience time and space linearly.
Right.
But quantum means I can take two particles that are at different ends of the world and affect them. And militarily speaking, that's a desirable thing to do, because I could basically do quantum voodoo on something.
Yeah, they've been
for whatever.
They've been doing this for years.
Right. So let's think about the idea of non-traditional quantum. It's not
I'm telling you, guys.
Yes,
guys, wake up.
What did he just say? Let him say it again.
Like Hank Pym. Yes, like Ant-Man.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Something more like that. Okay, but I don't know.
I'm telling you guys. I know you guys mock me for this. I'm telling you, there will be a day when you're going to say Clayton was right, in the same way that you all say that about Alex Jones and other stories. I'm telling you that this is coming. And when this UFO disclosure story unfolds, these pieces of this quantum piece of this anti-gravity technology piece of this interdimensional piece of this is all going to come out. We have the whistleblowers from Raytheon on the record about this stuff, guys. It's going to come, and you guys will all say Clayton was right, and I'll rewind the tape. And I'll sit there. Why are you
inserting yourself into this story?
Because people are saying it in the chat, and then they're saying that, Clayton's right on the quantum alien piece of this. I'm telling you that this is coming.
Okay. So non-traditional defense contractor is otherworldly defense contractor.
Or black budget stuff. I don't know. Who exactly knows what's what on this, but
okay.
It's coming.
Well, that is a very vague term. I'm very interested to know what non-traditional defense contractors that specialize in quantum computing means. So yes, Hank Pym, I think you're on the right track there. Okay. A couple other things worth noting. It says no defense department can spend money on critical race theory or committees for the environment. There can be innovation studies about more sustainable fuel. That is something like real and desirable, right? But no committees to lecture the military on environment or critical race. So, okay. It does establish what's called sex-neutral fitness standards for the military. It's not necessarily a budgeting concern, is it? But you need sex-neutral fitness standards. So, for instance, like, the push-up, not contest, like a push-up test. Like a man will have to, no, not a push-up bra. Oh. Like a man will have to do 20 push-ups and a woman would have to do 10 or what have you, right? So get rid of those, establish sex-neutral fitness standards. You don't have to, have different standards.
So this is how, exactly. This is how
what
America.
What did he say?
This is.
What did he say?
So I'd say, so now men just have to do 10 because you can't make the women move up to the men's level because they can't do it, in some cases. So it's like they're going to move the standard. So everybody just does 10.
Right. Exactly. This is how you win, right? This is how America's military gets stronger. Right. We weaken everybody. Like that's exactly what's going to happen. So, man, America winning again.
Okay. Those have not been defined yet, but yeah, you're probably right. They will teach to the slowest person in the room instead of the fastest. Does this make any of us safer? Well, I don't know. One thing that is a concern that they talk about is identifying the threat of the fentanyl crisis. Take a look at this. Section 1007 talks about developing an analysis of the illicit federal drug trade and not really a plan to deal with it, but I guess this is in the defense budget, right? So we've been talking about a war with Mexico. Does this mean, if you really want to go after the fentanyl crisis, you have to go after Big Pharma. But it seems like the Defense Department is not going to do that. They're going to go and attack the middleman bad guys instead of the source. I guess we'll have to see. Now, a lot has been made of the hidden social policies in this bill. It doesn't really limit abortion. What it does is repeal the defense budget's allowance for travel reimbursement if someone travels out of state for an abortion. It is also said to ban transgender procedures such as cross-sex hormones and surgeries on military health plans. I did not find that as of my reading today. So if you would like to point me to it, that would be great because I saw the military having a cow over it, but I didn't read it myself despite hours of going through it. You can read it yourself again by looking up Bill HR 2670. Let me know what you think of this. Let me know what you think of our interpretations. Again, this is a conversation that's just heating up because the Senate proposal has to come along next. And then the president, I'm betting we don't even land at this $886 billion per year. It's going to be more than that. And Clayton's done several segments about how a lot of the money outside of the defense budget goes into separate contracts. So we know that that's even just a low baseline. But let us know what you think of that in the chat.
And I also want to point out, remember on September 10th when Rumsfeld announced that they just lost $2.1 trillion of transactions, like they're just magically not there. So, you think like they're getting that money, they're getting it from all kinds of places, but then they're not even like transparent on where it's going. So it's got to be way more than that. Like I would guess like way more. So
well, it's all, and a lot of the black budget stuff, right? That's exactly what's hoping to come out. All the black budget stuff. Wait a minute. Our budget is this, but we're spending $400 billion more than the budget. Where's that money going? I don't know. You check the black budget stuff that's being sent around the world that we don't. It's the off the book stuff, the stuff that we can't track and is not funneling through Congress that we didn't approve. Exactly what's happening with this stuff. We just lose $2 trillion. That's what the United States does. Very good at losing money.
Yeah.
We just lost $40 billion in Iraq. We can't find it. We know we sent it there. We don't know. Same thing with Ukraine.
There was just recently something we covered about Ukraine too, right? Some money was missing. They're like, oh, it went there. Yeah. Like, we'll figure it out. But
we don't know.
They're saying it was money, accounting budgets.
Can't track weapons.
Accounting errors. When Senator Ron Paul has said repeatedly that we need an auditor and has been shut down.
Yeah. And Rand Paul.
Rand Paul.
Yeah. So we'll see. Let us know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.